Let's get your assessment of it.
I think Stephen summed it up perfectly. I think it's breaking up a promise attack. That's my opinion. There's others, other referees think differently. I think it's what I call breaking up a promise attack. He realises that Doherty's going to be away. His priority is I've got to stop him quickly. He flicks out. It's very, very cynical, but a cynical foul for me isn't a red card. I don't think it's the worst decision in the world, like people say, as Stephen alluded to. If you look at it, where Michael is, he feels and still does feel that he goes down his Achilles. If he thinks he goes down his Achilles, the referees are told now, you know, a tackle with the studs down the Achilles has got to be a red card. I don't think he does. You look at that, it happens very, very quickly. See where the referee is. He sees it very quickly. But for me personally, I think it's a yellow card for stopping a promise attack. You look at this, you know, is it with brutality? Is it with malice? Is it gain the intensity, the speed? I think not.
Okay. It definitely doesn't go down his Achilles, does it? And if he was sent to the monitor, he would have seen that. So why did Darren England, who was the VAR for this game, not recommend at the minimum that he goes to the monitor to have a look?
I can't answer that, Rob, but people talk about this, about the monitor, the VAR. It's quite intriguing that somebody said to me yesterday that if Darren England said, look, go and have a look, see what you think, that's great in principle, but that's not part of the protocol. It's got to be, he thinks it's a clear and obvious error, then he recommends Michael go. What happens after is up to him. If he had gone to the monitor, he may well have held his ground. He may well have said, I still think it's a red card. He holds all options. But that didn't happen. I think the follow-up from it is, you know, it's caused massive, massive debate, and as you're going to allude to later, caused some very, very, what I think is toxic and unnecessary follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will get onto that in a moment. We are not privy as yet to the conversations between Michael Oliver and Darren England. Mm-hmm. But if Michael Oliver is feeding back, it went down his Achilles, I think that's a red, and Darren England is seeing different pictures, then surely.
My only thing with this is, and if you can just keep us on a full shot of our feet here, this is where, if you're now going to challenge and you're going to go down your Achilles, now, no, so what you're essentially saying is that is going down the Achilles. It's where your studs are up. Now, if you watch Lewis-Skelly's his foot, now he goes like that. Once there's contact made, his foot then goes like that. It jumps up because of the contact. So if you do go to the screen, you look at that, you might have gone, no, he's gone down his Achilles, and you think initially he's gone with that scraping motion down it. But then when you see it again, you go, actually, that's because it's made contact and then the foot's come up. Yeah. And that's the difference, and that's where it's... I feel sorry for Michael Oliver in that situation, because he's reacted to what he's seen straight away and gone, that's what I've seen. But then when you slow it down, you look at it again, you go, it's actually not. That it's a reaction off contact made between the two, and that's where you need the help of your team within the VAR booth. So that's where I do feel sorry for Michael Oliver, because he's gone off his instinct straight away. But if you've got that help behind you, use it.
And this is the whole thing, I think, where they freeze frame things. Because you can freeze frame something where it's like that, can't you? So you can freeze frame and it looks so much worse than what it is when you watch it. But what took you into that? What took you into it was a trip, wasn't it? It was a flick out of the leg rather than any sort of contact that was nasty or malicious. So, yeah, I think that's where you have to... We say it all the time, don't we? You've got to work as a team. You've got to help your mates out, because Michael Oliver looks like he's in a brilliant position, but what he's seen probably isn't quite what we've seen. So if VAR then say, do you know what, just go and have a look. He didn't go down his Achilles. It was more of a trip, and then make your decision from there. OK, let's have a look, because Dermot was alluding to it. Let's have a look at what our wonderful orange book tells us. And here are the things that should be taken into consideration. These were the checklist you were going through. Speed, intensity, force, degree of control, and point and extent of contact. That's you're alluding to. Did he rake his Achilles? And in the orange book, which we love, actually resides under my pillow, you can see they're putting two pictures there. The one on the left is what it looks like if it's a yellow. The one on the right is what
it would look like for a red. So if we superimpose the challenge from Saturday, it looks alarmingly similar, doesn't it, to the one on the left that was a yellow. So even by the PGMOL and IFAB's orange book, it's a yellow.
Well, I think both Stephen and Sue make great points about one of the dangers, as we alluded to earlier in the season, is freeze-frame pictures, which you just said. Freeze-frame picture is great for point of contact. I think that's all it is. It shows you where the boot lands. I think you make a great point about his position, because I actually think he's had an optical illusion, because whereas he's coming behind, he sees the tackle go in, he thinks it's gone down. You look, it hasn't, and you look at it from different angles, it hasn't gone down his Achilles. But what happens is, you look at that book and it says about point of contact, you show a still picture, and everything changes, doesn't it? Because it doesn't, a still picture doesn't show the first 4 points of speed, intensity, where he comes from, where he's going to.
Did it check any of those points, though? Because it wasn't that speed, intensity, no.
But they're the things I spoke about, aren't they, Rob? And that's why I feel for Michael Oliver, I really do. I feel for, he's made a genuine decision in view of his experience, his knowledge. One of the best referees in the world. Let's get that straight. One of the best referees in the world. You know, so he hasn't made that decision out of anything other than what he thinks is right. And to his credit, you know, he's done that and he's carried on the game. You know, he's took loads of abuse at the time. You know, people weren't happy. But he's gone out, he's stood up and he's had to referee the next, 63 minutes of that match. But it's just, in my view, a mistake. He will probably say no. He thinks he's probably got it right. But I think it's a mistake, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You know, my colleagues here think it's a mistake. But that's all it is. It's a mistake.
Do you think that do you think we'd have this much of a talking point this weekend had he have gone to the screen and even stuck with the decision? Not turned it over, just still think it would have been as talked about? Because a lot of it now, this discussion this weekend is, why hasn't he gone to the screen?
Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, Bournemouth.
Well, you and I discussed this many, many times, don't we? And about if you give me the opportunity to go to the screen, even if I hold my ground, you'll understand more. You might not agree with me, but you'll go, yeah, he's had a look, he's made up his mind. But for whatever reason, they decided not to send him in the game.
Because the other thing as well is we're still getting this sort of hierarchy talk, aren't we? Michael Oliver's our #1 referee. The VAR booth don't want to overturn his decision because they're frightened that he's the main guy and he's our top referee. And I think there's still that element of that talk going on, whereas that would have put that to bed as well. And that's still an issue that a lot of people are mentioning this weekend, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah, that has been proved wrong, hasn't it, with the Chelsea-Tottenham last year, where he was called back. Not only did he give a penalty, but he gave a red card.
Yeah.
Correctly, I hasten to add. But there's all kinds of theories, isn't there, when people perceive an injustice.
Absolutely.
Well, it was one of the pictures in the book, that very incident, wasn't it? It was in the orange book.